forgot how to do this. It's been so long. Now I have 2 cameras. Ooh la la. Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Yes, I'm still alive. As you might be able to tell by the different background, I moved. And like that, many other things change. So I thought it would be a good idea to make a recap video of what my first year in university was like as an international student. So that's what we're here for. Big disclaimer. All of the things that I'm going to share are just from my personal experience, which means that if you do come to Korea to study, you may have a completely different one. There are many factors that can influence that. So just so you have a better idea why it was that way for me, I'm going to share some background information just to get to know a little bit better of who I am, I guess.
Okay, let's go.
So first of all, I'm a full-time student, no exchange. I go to Ewha Women's University and I major in design, which means that all of my major classes are in Korean. I have only been studying Korean for 2 years, so my topic score is level 5, but I don't really know that much. In the last year, all of my classes were online, except for midterms, finals, and some other things, but most of it was all online. I lived in the dorms, and I was the only Western foreigner in all of my major classes. And I was the only GKS 2020 student who got into Ewha on the spring semester of that year. So I was... So, now that you know some of the basics, let's get right into the questions. But first of all, let me thank all of you who responded to my story and submitted your questions. That's usually where I interact with you guys a little bit more on a daily basis. Because yeah, I know I was gone for a while here on the tubes. My bad. So if you want to be part of that, head on over to Instagram and follow me there. But really, thank you to all of you who submitted the questions. I actually was pleasantly surprised because some of you asked some really good questions. And I noticed like a pattern of some questions more related to study life, others to social life, and others to spiritual life, and even emotional and mental health. So I went ahead and divided them into those categories so we can tackle them in a more organized way. I'll also put down below in the description the timestamps for each of those categories, so if you're interested in a particular one or you want to go back to it, all of that will be down below for easier access. Now, let's start with study life. Oof. Were the professors kind? Yes, most of them, or actually all of them, were very, very kind, except for one. I'm gonna tell you a little bit more about that person later. But the difference is that on the first semester, I wasn't able to choose any of my classes because I was a freshman and I had to do all of the mandatory ones. I mean, I still have some of the mandatory ones, but now I can at least choose. For the first semester, they just gave you a class, that's the one you had to take. And sometimes the professors were not the best. Then for the second semester, it was different because I used the app every time. If you don't know about it, it's just an app that has some information about university life and stuff. So I use it to look up the different lectures, what the professors are, and they also have a rating, which tells you how they are with attendance, how they are when they grade you, how they are with the exams, and like all of the different opinions of all the students that have taken that course. So I carefully read all of them and only chose the ones that were really, really nice. Which meant that my schedule was kind of wonky, but I didn't care. The second semester was the best in terms of the professors. They were adorable, like really. There was one professor that was extremely nice, like she was so nice. Most of them are women, but it doesn't mean that because it's a women's university, all of the professors are also female. There's also male. But from my experience, or at least in my major, I didn't have a lot of them. But yeah, all of them were really nice. The one professor that was not, it was this, what was it? I think it was 형태와 공간, which is like form and space, which is more like for industrial design, which is not at all what I want to do. But I had to take it because, yep, the science student, you all have to take it. And this professor, you could tell that she knew a lot about what she was teaching. She was very passionate about it, but she was also very demanding. And as you can imagine, I, the foreigner student that just came to Korea and studied Korean for 1 year only, trying to get into one of those classes and understand all of those abstract concepts and stuff and like be philosophical about what things are, it's like, no, there's no way it's gonna happen. And I don't know why, I felt like she was picking on me sometimes because she would always ask me questions even though she knew I was completely lost, because I was like, yeah, no, maybe. She knew that I was really struggling and really trying to keep up with the class, and I don't know why. She just targeted me because I was the only foreigner, so she would always ask me questions. And now I know that she was maybe trying to, I don't know, not waste my potential and try to like push me so I could be better. Maybe that's also the Korean way. You know, Korean parents be like, you have to be the best. But I'm sorry, maybe that was racist. 죄송합니다. But I don't know, it was really, really tough, to the point that I almost wanted to give up. I don't know if entirely on my career and just go back home, not to that point, but I did wanted to give up on that class. I mean, you have a period where you can drop out and like it will be okay, but it was past that already, and I was like, I don't care about my grade, I don't care about the GPA no more, I just want to be done with this, I don't want to see this woman anymore. It was really, really tough, I'm not gonna lie. It was really stressful. Every day I had that class, I'll dread it. Even though I prepared for it and I had my notes of things that maybe she could ask and like words that I could maybe need, it was never enough. So that was really, really tough. But after that, I just go and check for the reviews. If it's a good professor, I take the class. If it's not, I'd rather be behind and take it later when a good professor is available than suffer. So yeah. That was my experience and that's my advice. Favorite and least favorite classes? Well, that's an easy question. Least favorite class, that woman's. Actually, the funny thing is I got an A+ from her. So after that I was like, okay, it wasn't that bad. This suffering actually paid off. But yeah, I really didn't like the class. Like the content of the class, it was kind of interesting, but not really relevant because I'm not gonna do anything related to like industrial design. So that's why maybe I didn't feel like, it was 별로. And then my favorite one, that's a hard question because I like a lot of my classes. But I think that professors also really have a big influence on how you view the class, because this other professor, the angel one, my lovely 교수님, that was just like an angel fallen from heaven. She was really, really nice. Taught one for illustration, more specifically focused in Photoshop, which I already knew that the basics and stuff. It was kind of boring at the beginning because I was like, oh, I already know that. But then it was actually quite nice and I liked the pace of the class and the things that we did, even though it was like presentations every single class, because if you're a design student, just get prepared for that. You have to do presentations every single day. But yeah, it was fun. So I guess that would be my favorite one. Theoretical versus practical classes. Again, this depends on your major. For me, I have a mixture of both now because I'm in my first year, second year, which I still have like a lot of 교양, which are like the basics that everyone has to take. But then when I go more into like my major classes only, most of them are just practical. But again, depends on your major. GPA. Actually, I don't mind being transparent with my GPA. As you know, I came here with a scholarship, which means that we have to keep 80% or more to be here. And if we want to reapply after we graduate for, I don't know, if you want to do a master's in Korea and you want to apply for the scholarship again, you know that you have to maintain a GPA higher than 90%. So that's what I'm trying to do. I don't know if I'm going to continue studying and if I want to do a master's or not, because honestly, I'm tired of studying. But I don't know, I just want to have the possibility, so I'm trying to keep it up. I don't remember exactly what my GPA is. I am recording with my phone, and that's where the app with the information is. But when I do find it, I will put it right here. Now, let's talk about social life. I don't know why I did that. Making Korean friends. Ho ho ho. That's a topic, alright? I mean, I guess it is also different for every person, depending if you join any 동아리. I do have some Korean friends. The reason why I call them Korean is because they have lived abroad. So even though they are ethnically Korean, I can talk to them in English. And also like their views on life and stuff are like more broad in a way, I don't know. So yeah, I do have some friends that are Korean, but like Korean, like 100%, not really. All the people that I got to meet at university that were Koreans, like we talked when we had to do like projects and stuff, and everything was good. But then after that, they just don't talk to you anymore. I mean, I understand because it's harder if you don't really speak Korean that well, which is my case. So it can be like a little bit inconvenient for them to do that. I mean, I'm okay. I don't really mind it. But yeah, if you want to really get to know a lot of Koreans and befriend them and like get a solid friendship group and stuff like that, let me tell you that it is hard. It will be really, really hard. Finding community. Well, that's a little bit of what I just talked about. Depends what you do. If you participate in any like club activity at school, or if you do volunteer work, or in my case, most of the people that I met and that I have really good relationships with are from church. But like, I'm not going to talk about that because we have the spiritual life category, so I'll touch a little bit more on that later. What were people's responses when they found out you are from Uruguay? 축구, 수아레스. What else? Cavani. Those are the things I get. Most of them don't even know where Uruguay is. You have to be like, oh, it's in South America, whatever. But yeah, most of them, if they are guys, most of the time they know it because of soccer. That's what we're known for. Like the realtor guy that showed me this place and everything, we were talking about like life in general. He was like, oh, you're from Uruguay. He started to talk about that he's a fan of whatever team Cavani plays for. I don't really like soccer, to be honest. I know I'm a disgrace, but whatever, I don't really like it that much. I just watch it if it's like a big tournament like the World Cup or something like that, but I don't really follow it on a daily basis. So when people talk about that, I'm like, yeah, I have no idea. So that's the only conversation topic that I could have, but since I don't really know anything about soccer, it doesn't really work. So yeah, there's that. Feeling like a foreigner. You will always feel like a foreigner. Doesn't matter how long you've been here, how well you speak Korean, you just look different. So even though society here is becoming more and more open to people from different races and backgrounds and stuff like that, you're still different from Koreans in a lot of ways. So they just know it, and that's okay. That's not something bad. Racism, that's a different thing, and I have not experienced that a lot. I mean, you will get those dirty looks sometimes, mostly because of COVID. They just like want to be careful, I guess, or whatever. But yeah, you'll always feel like a foreigner, but I don't think that's a bad thing. We are a foreigner in this earth anyway. Now, let's get into spiritual life. As I mentioned previously on the other question, that's one of the biggest things that influenced the community I was able to build, and that was really helpful in finding a good community, because I know that it can be really tough for other students or foreigners in general. They just come here and they're like kind of lost because they don't know anybody. So church for me was a really good place to like get to know people that have like the same beliefs that I do, that aspire for the same things I do in life. So that's very refreshing, very nice, and really helpful, because it does get hard sometimes. You don't have the emotional support that you always had with your family and friends back home. I mean, you still can talk to them, but it's not the same as having like real people and getting to build like real relationships. So that's been really, really nice. If you don't go to church, or if you're not religious, I mean, it is important to find community. So you just need to look something up, like a hobby or something that you do enjoy. But I do truly recommend that you find some other people with the same interests as you, because if you don't, it will get really lonely and hard. Now, how did faith impacted your year as an international student? Well, besides the fact that I was able to find that community and that support and the friendships that I was able to develop and build through church, my faith personally was really, really important, because with the pandemic and stuff, I had a lot of time for myself. So I just really enjoyed that time to do a lot of introspection and thinking and trying to figure out where I am in life, what my future is going to be like, and what role God plays in all of that. Because yeah, I don't know. It's easier to go through those tough times knowing that everything has a reason and that everything will be okay at the end. Because I know that God is in control of whatever happens to me. And I trust that He is a loving God. So nothing that will harm me or be bad or negative would come. Of course I will have tough times, and of course I will go through hardships and stuff like any other person. But it's definitely much easier when you know what the end goal is. So yeah, for me, faith is the most important thing in my life, and also one of the reasons why I came to Korea. I'm not gonna get into that right now because if not, the video will be like super long. But yeah, definitely a good chat to have some other day. Do you go to church? And if so, which one? Yes, I do go to church. The first year when I was in Busan for language training, I did not go to an actual church. I just went to church online, as most of the services were like that because COVID was much worse at the time. So I looked up online some churches before coming to Korea. I did some research and I found a lot of them actually, but I didn't really know which one to go to. But after some time of prayer and some weird random stuff, actually there was this girl that I followed on YouTube. This is her channel, probably you know her, and if you don't, go check her out. And yeah, she was located now in Korea, and she was talking about the church that she was attending and stuff. And even though I don't really like makeup, I'm not into skincare, makeup, and all that stuff at all. I don't know why I followed her, but I did. I believe that was just God having that prepared for me to really know and make my decision on which church I will attend here in Korea. So when she brought up the fact that she goes to Jubilee, and that was one of the ones I had on the list, I was like, okay, let's give that a try. And that was my first option. So when I was in Busan, I just attended church online, which was great because a way of not really having that commitment of going to church, but kind of like testing and seeing what things are like and stuff. I actually really liked it. So when I moved to Seoul, I started going, and yeah, I've been there since. And really happy to be part of that community. So if you're looking for a church in Seoul, know that you're welcome here. And last but not least, emotional and mental health. Actually, I was really surprised that you brought this up, but it is a really important topic to talk about and to actually think about, because a lot of people, they just repress themselves. They don't think about their emotions and stuff, and that is toxic and harmful for someone that is a foreigner, alone in a country that is not theirs, that everything's different. So yeah, let's get into the questions. How hard was it? I mean, I talked about this a little bit. Sometimes I did feel discouraged, and I don't know, I didn't feel like doing anything. A la Bruno Mars. Today I don't feel like doing anything. I did have a lot of those days, but in general, I wouldn't say it was really hard. Maybe because I already knew a little bit about Korean culture. I liked the food and I like traveling, and I got the chance to visit a lot of places in vacation. So it was a lot of stress during semesters, but then vacation I was like, yeah, la. So yeah, overall, I wouldn't say it was really hard. There were, of course, tough moments, as there is with everything in life. But yeah, overall, I think I would say it was a good experience. How was your mental health? I don't know. I never went to therapy or counseling or anything like that. So I did have some moments of like, I don't know, distress and confusion. But what really helped me were actually my friends. And that's why I say that community, building a strong and healthy community is so important. Because at those moments, the friends that were there for me, just asking the right questions, and be like just checking up on you, like, oh, are you okay? And if you're like, yeah, they know you're not okay, and they're like, okay, let's go out and do something. Or in my case, that I'm very introverted and I don't like going out, they'll be like, okay, I'm just gonna go home, visit you, and do something or whatever. So yeah, I think it was okay. I think also faith in God are a big part of why I was able to keep calm, and even though I was stressed sometimes, not go crazy. So yeah, that's my answer. Was adapting easy? Depends. Adapting from my country to Korea, I think it was because I really liked a lot of the aspects about Korean culture and society and the way things are done here. So that was good. But adapting to university, that's a different story. Because back home, I was always used to not studying a lot and doing really well in my classes. But here, everything is like 100 times more competitive. Also, there's the language barrier because I don't really know Korean that well. So there are a lot of times where I know what I want to say and I have a lot to say, but I just don't know how to say it. Or when it comes to preparing a presentation or studying for an exam, it just takes double or 3 times the time that it takes to a normal Korean student. So it's been really tough having to adapt. I don't know if you can hear it, but that was this song from the washing machine. I was just doing some laundry. So yeah, going back to topic. What was I talking about? Yeah, it's been tough having to adapt to dedicating so much time just to study, because I find it hard to have a balance between all of those aspects that we talked about in life, like my social life, my spiritual life, being also healthy physically, mentally, emotionally, and also doing well in school. As I mentioned, I'm trying to keep up a GPA of 90% or more. So yeah, definitely that was the hardest thing to adapt. How much time I need to dedicate to studying, because it's just harder. It's gonna be harder for you too, unless you come here and you do your major in English. I think that will be much easier, but still, time management, that's been one of the hardest things to adapt to. Loneliness and homesickness. What did you miss the most from home? In my case, I'm a very detached person. It's not that I don't have feelings, guys. I do. They're just like buried inside somewhere. But yeah, ever since I was little, I always went out on trips alone or stuff like that, like, I mean, with school and whatever. And I never missed my parents or wanted to go back or anything. So when coming to Korea, it was kind of the same. I mean, I do miss my friends and family and stuff, and I would like to see them again, but I wouldn't say I get as homesick as other people. I don't miss the food that much either. I mean, of course, there are some things that I would like to try, or mostly I like to introduce to other people. That's something that I found. It's not that I really want to eat it, I just want to show it to other people. And I don't have it here. So that's when it gets like, oh man, I really wish I had that dulce de leche, or I don't know, those kind of things. But yeah, so in that sense, adapting hasn't been that hard, and I don't really get that lonely. I mean, sometimes, especially during holidays like Christmas and New Year's, which in the West, you know, is a very family-oriented holiday. Not as much here, because it's just like another Valentine's Day. But for us Westerners, that you're used to like getting together with family and preparing food and spending quality time together and stuff like that, it does get a bit lonely if you don't really have friends or, as I mentioned, a good group or community to spend it with. In my case, I was really blessed to have people to spend those times with. Of course, it's not the same, but yeah, there haven't been that many times where I felt truly alone, like there was no one here. I had some, mostly at the beginning when I didn't really have any friends, or I wasn't really able to connect with people and build a community here. But now I'm doing so much better, and yeah, I don't really miss home that much. I do want to go back, of course, but money is also an issue now that I moved. More on that in another video if you're interested. I don't know, let me know if you want to know what moving and stuff is like here in Korea. But yeah, most of the savings that I had for going back home this year are gone. Sorry, Mom. So yeah, and what was the other question? Oh, what is the thing that I miss the most from home? Of course, I will have to say family and friends, because actually it was a friend that asked the question. So you are my universe. Just kidding. But yeah, I don't know. To be honest, something that I really miss from home is being able to understand everything. Bet you didn't see that coming. I'm just now realizing how I give that for granted. Being able to go to the grocery store and be able to read everything and be like on the bus and be able to know what each person is saying. Not that I like to eavesdrop, don't get me wrong. But even though I do understand a lot of Korean and it has gotten a lot better in this past year, it's like weird not being able to understand every single thing, which I was back home. So I have to constantly be making an effort to understand, and when people ask me questions, I have to actually think what I'm gonna say. Whereas like for English or Spanish, it just comes out. So yeah, that's what I miss the most, being just as spontaneous and knowing everything. I mean, not knowing everything, it's not that I want to know everything, but you know what I mean, just like being easier to know your surroundings and stuff like that. And yeah, I think that was the last question, and let me think, is there anything else I want to tell you? Probably, but I don't remember right now. Let me check the time. Oh, it's almost 12:30 and I'm meeting a friend to go to a museum. So I better wrap this up. If you do have any more questions or things that I haven't talked about, feel free to leave them in the comments below. I might do another Q&A or something like that sometime in the future. Not gonna make any promises because you know how things are here. Life is hard, as I told you. There's not enough time if I want to keep my social life, spiritual life, study life, emotional, mental health in check, and also physical health. I'm gonna start going to the gym again next month, so that's exciting. So yeah, YouTube takes a lot of time. Like people that you see, most of them have a crew or some friends that help them edit and record and whatever. So that's why they're able to put out videos so frequently. For me, I don't have that luxury. So yeah, I do want to keep this channel, but I don't think I'll be able to upload as frequently as I would like to. Who knows? Maybe. We'll see. But if you're interested in a house tour, also let me know, drop in a like, and I filmed that for you because I know it could be also interesting to talk a little bit about the experience, what it was like getting a house, the payments and the paperwork and the stuff you need to prepare. And yeah, I think that's about it. If you're a student in Korea and you're going through a tough time, just know that it can get better. Just ask for help, trying to get together with some friends. And yeah, just take some time for yourself. Take it easy. Sometimes you have to step back to take a step forward. You know what I mean? And if you're thinking of applying to university in Korea, just be prepared for a lot of work, cultural differences and stuff like that. And yeah, hopefully you have a really good experience as well and everything works out for you. Let me know if you are going to apply or not and what universities those are. I'd love to know a little bit more about you guys too, because you know about me, but I don't know about you. So let me know in the comments below. And yeah, that's been everything for today. It's been weird talking to a camera again, but I know that there's someone on the other side, or at least I hope. Yes, you're there, right? Hello, how you doing? Good day or good night or whatever you are. I hope you have a good day, good rest, and see you next time. Adios.